morning everyone. My name is Anuj and I will be taking today's session of Weekly Roundup. In Weekly Roundup, we cover the most important news of the past week. In today's Weekly Roundup session, we will be covering around 5 main news and 6 quick update and 1 place in news. In the main news, we will be covering about the recent war which is taking place between US and Iran. Then we will be covering about the cancer as the PM has launched the national-wide HPV vaccination drive for 14 years old girls. Then in the third main news, we will be covering about GDP as the new series of gross domestic product has been released. Then we will be covering about the food fortification as government has temporarily discontinued the rice fortification under the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. Then lastly, in the main news, we will be covering about the Convention on Biological Diversity as India has submitted its 7th national report to the CBD. Then in quick update, we will be covering about Durand Line, Project Cheetah, Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve, Maven Mission, Bureau of Energy Efficiency and Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And in place in news, as the Strait of the Indian Ocean are in the news, we will be covering about the Strait in the Indian Ocean. So this is the brief of today's session. Let us begin the today's session. So the first news for today is about the war which is going on between US and Israel on one side and Iran on the another side. It is basically mentioned in international relation, but it is also interlinked with the ethics, with the security, as well as with the economy. We will be covering all the aspects in this news, why there has been so much disturbance, what are their implications, how it will impact India as well, and what can be the solution. That will be the main aim and the main what we will be covering in this news. Now let us begin with the development. So as you might have read in the newspaper or you might have come across this news, US has airstriked on Iran and the name of the operation is Operation Epic Fury. This is the name which has been given by US and Israel, that this name is, operation name is Operation Epic Fury, and it has resulted in the killing of Iran's supreme leader. So there is an arrangement in the Iran where there are prime minister as well as president, but the true power holder is the supreme leader. So they have killed the supreme leader, and the name of the supreme leader was Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. And in response to that, Iran have retaliated and they have attacked on numerous countries which was around their country, and basically they have controlled or they have attacked on the US bases, and recently they have also attacked on the data center because there was news that USA was using the data provided by the cloud for attacking in the Iran. So they are attacking the data center. As you might be aware that these data centers are the backbone for the AI. And there was issues between cloud AI company and the national government of America regarding the public surveillance, where the company was saying that we won't provide the total technology, we will embed the technology so that our technology cannot be used for the surveillance. But whereas the American government was saying that this authority is with the government, so there was issue. So in that case, you should be knowing about the ethical usage of AI in warfare. As we are moving forward, it will be there, usage of AI will be there in the warfare. So it also shows the ethical usage and how AI can be used or misused in the wars. Now coming back to the news, let us understand about the issue between the USA and Iran as well as Israel. So if you see the map, you will see that Israel is near to Iran. So there will be various conflict. But how USA is coming into the picture here? So let us move back to the 1979 Islamic Revolution in the Iran. Before 1979, Iran was ruled by the kings, and the last king was Raja Pahlavi. And it was believed by Iranian people that he was controlled, or he was proxy of the Western countries such as USA and UK, as his development were not connected with the people. There was a disparity between the side of the ruler and the people. So they began the revolution and they replaced the king. After replacing the king, they attacked on the embassy of the USA in Iran in 1979, and they kidnapped 66 American citizens, including the diplomat. That was the first conflict between the USA and Iran. That was a very big issue. Even the president of the USA lost election due to this issue. There was many issues, but one of them was the kidnapping or hostage of 66 American citizens in Iran embassy. Sorry, in the embassy of USA in Iran. When the new president came in 1981, President Reagan, then they were left out. So that was the first point. And there are other issues as well about the nuclear dispute. What is the nuclear dispute? That Iran is building a nuclear missile or nuclear bomb that has been believed by USA and Israel. And it has been reported that Iran has enriched uranium up to 60%. Okay, so in natural uranium, U-35, which is required for making nuclear bomb, is only 0.7%. And for making bomb, it is required that this uranium should be enriched to 90 or above 90%. And up to 4 to 5% uranium enriched for making electricity. That is a simple understanding of enrichment of uranium. Why we are discussing about enrichment of uranium is because there was a PYQ in the year 2023. Even then, this news was there in the newspapers. And even now, there is the third anti-missile defense system is also there in news. It was also there in news when there was the war between, or there was a conflict between North and South Korea. Even then UPSC asked about the defense system, that was third. Even now the third defense system is there in the news. So it is often seen that UPSC asks question in and around of the development, whereas UPSC won't ask directly that what is going on in there, but related news to that, such as third or the enrichment of uranium, such type of questions can come in the prelims examination. Then the third conflict is the proxy warfare and regional influence. So it is believed that Iran control proxy in Hamas as well as Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hamas is in Palestine. So they try to bring in instability in Israel. That is the whole issue. But the present issue is that they believe that Iran is very near to build the nuclear weapon. Now let us understand the consequences of this war. So what will be the consequences of the conflict? First of all, it will bring regional instability. First, USA and Israel attacked on Iran. Now Iran is attacking on the various countries. It might be UAE, it might be Dubai, or the other countries such as Bahrain. Why Iran is attacking on these countries? Now let us understand that. Because US has military presence there. You can see in this map and see where all USA military presence is there. It is there in Kuwait, it is there in Bahrain, it is there in Qatar, it is there in UAE, it is there in Djibouti. Even China has the military presence there. So these are the military presence area or the military base for USA. And recently the USA has moved out of this area and came into the central Indian Ocean, and even they have attacked one ship of Iran in Indian Ocean to very near to the Sri Lanka coast, and that ship was the ship which have participated in Milan exercise where it was invited by India. Please read about that news and what is the Milan exercise and when it was started, because that also become very important for your prelims examination. Now let us move to the other consequences of the conflict. First, we have studied that it will bring the regional instability. Then it will also lead to the threat to the energy security, because this region is one of the largest producer for the crude oil. So it around 20% of the world crude oil passes through this region. And now what Iran is saying, that we will attack on any vehicles, especially ships of the Western countries such as USA or its allies. We will attack them. So it will bring the threat to energy security. Then it will also raise concern regarding global trade and connectivity. As you might be aware that most of the ships passes through this region, and it will increase the threat perception. And if threat perception is increased, automatically the insurance and the cost regarding the traveling will increase. So it will impact the global trade and connectivity. And also there will be the threat of nuclear escalation risk. As you might be aware that Saudi Arabia prince has said, if Iran will acquire the nuclear weapon, we will also acquire the nuclear weapon. Then on similarly other countries such as Kuwait, Bahrain or other countries in the Western Asia will also try to acquire the nuclear weapon, and it will bring a total collapse to the region. Then there are implications on India as well, because India import around 85% of its crude oil from the global market. And if 20% of the crude oil is impacted, then automatically India will get impacted here. Not only crude oil, about 85% of LPG is imported from this region. If you are reading the newspaper, you might have read that government of India has said to the LPG companies to produce more and more LPG. That is the reason. Then other reason for India's thought is that there is around 8 to 9 million Indians which are living in this region, and they contribute around 25% remittance to India. Please be very clear here that the largest source for remittance is USA, but some time back it was the Middle East. Now USA is largest contributor to India's remittance. So these are the things which are there in this news. Now let us move forward and look at the PYQ. So this PYQ is from 2023. I think regarding third, it was there in 18 or 19 in UPSC. It was directly asked that what is the meaning of, or why third was there in the news. So it was a missile defense system. Okay, and similarly anti-dome can be asked, or other products or other weapons which are used in this war. Now let us coming to the PYQ which was there in 2023. Let us read it. Consider the following statement. Statement 1. India, despite having uranium deposit, depends on the coal for most of its electricity production. Okay, so it is an correct statement. Although India have uranium deposit, we depend on coal for the most of its electricity production. Then statement 2 is uranium enriched to the extent of at least 60% is required for the production of the electricity. It was there at that time that Iran might have enriched its uranium up to 60%, but for production of electricity it is required for 4 to 5% only. That means that this statement is incorrect. And if second statement is incorrect, only one option can be the answer, that is 3. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. So this was all in the first news. Now let us move to the second news for today. The second news is regarding cancer. And the context of this news is that PM has launched a national-wide HPV vaccination drive for 14 years old girls. In this news, we will be covering about cancer and in particular about cervical cancer. And then we will be covering about this vaccination. It is related to paper 1 where syllabus talks about issues related to development and management of health, education and human resources. Now let us understand this news in detail. So first of all, the development. So a national program uses the Gardasil-4. It is a quadrivalent single dose human papillomavirus vaccine, and it is there to prevent cervical cancer. It is the only cancer which is preventable by using vaccination. Such type of extreme statement are very important for prelims examination. What is that statement? That the cervical cancer is the only preventable cancer through vaccination. Okay, so that is the statement. Before understanding this news further, let us understand about what is cancer. So as a aware citizen should be very clear about the meaning of cancer. What is cancer? Okay, so it is unnecessary and uncontrolled growth of cells in human body through cell division. That is the simple definition of cancer: unnecessary and uncontrolled. Cell division is very important for human growth and human development. But here there are two terms which are very important, that is unnecessary and uncontrolled. And why does it happen? It happens because mutation to the DNA. DNA is there in the cell nucleus. There are mutation to the DNA, and how this mutation takes place or what is the causes for cancer. The causes are, first cause is stress. Second, smoking. It might be active or it might be passive. Then exposure to the radiation such as UV and X-rays. Other reasons are chemicals, and other factors are also there which cause mutation in the DNA, which leads to unnecessary and uncontrolled growth of cell, and it brings to the symptoms. What are the symptoms of cancer? First, it will be tumor in the body or the cell growth. Second, weight loss. Sudden weight loss without exercising or without dieting. Why this weight loss will take place? We can understand that why there will be the development of tumor or the cell growth, because there is uncontrolled and unnecessary growth of cells through cell division. But why this sudden weight loss? Because now there is unnecessary cells in the body, and they will require energy to function, and they require higher energy for the functioning. And what they will do, they will take out the energy from the human body, which is essential for the functioning of the human body or the other human cells. That's why that will lead to the deficiency of energy for the other cells, and which will lead to the weight loss. So this is all about the cancer. What is cancer? Unnecessary and the uncontrolled growth of cell. Why does it happen? It happens due to the mutation of the DNA. What are the reason or what are the causes? Stress, smoking, exposure to the radiation such as UV and X-rays, and the chemicals and the other factors. And what are the symptoms? Symptoms are tumors and weight loss. So this is a brief about cancer. Now let us come back to the news. So this vaccine, it provide 93 to 100% effectiveness against the targeted HPV types. And this vaccine work for stimulating an immune response against 4 different antigens. What are antigens? Antigens are the foreign particles which is identified by body, and in response to that there is production of antibodies in body. Okay, so don't fear with the science related news. UPSC is asking very basic news related to science. Now let us understand about the cervical cancer and how it is impacting the women's. First of all, it is the 4th most common cancer in the world to the women's, and in India it is the 2nd most common cancer among women. The first most common cancer in India is breast cancer in women. Okay, then it accounts for 25%. India accounts for 25% of global cervical cancer death. So its morbidity rate is very high in India. Then it's disproportionately affects the younger women, and it is supported by one example. It has been given that 20% of children who lose their mother because of cancer lose due to the cervical cancer. 1 in 5 children who lose their mother due to cancer is due to cervical cancer. So this is about cervical cancer. Such type of points can be written in the mains examination, or these can be asked in a fact type statements in the prelims examination. Now let us understand about the HPV. So HPV is the name of group of around 200 known viruses, and they are transmitted through sexually transmitted infections. Then they do not cause concern in most people. Please be very clear that if someone has come in contact with the HPV, it does not mean that it will directly impact them. It will impact when persistent HPV infection with high risk HPV type, that will only cause the cervical cancer. And in around 90% of the people, body control the infection by itself. So it is only the 10% of the people who cannot control the infection by themselves. But now the government has introduced and giving vaccination regarding HPV to the 14 years old girls. So this, we have completed this news. Now let us discuss the PYQ which are related to this news. First PYQ is there from the year 2019, and it is not directly related to this news, but it is related to the cancer treatment. So the first question is, what is Cas9 protein that is often mentioned in the news? So Similarly here, it is a current affairs based question. So they have asked that this protein was there in the news and it is related to what? So the answer is, it is a molecular seizure used in a targeting gene editing for curing the cancer. Then there is a question from 2010, and the question is, with reference to the treatment of cancerous tumors, a tool called CyberKnife has been making the news. Again, it is related to the treatment of the cancer. So in this context, which one of the following statement is not correct? Note, please read questions in prelims examination very carefully. Where sometimes there are situations where UPSC is asking about the negative statement that is not correct. So the option are, it is a robotic image guided system, it is a correct statement. Then it delivers an extremely precise dose of radiation, that is also a correct statement. Then it has the capability of achieving the sub-millimeter accuracy. This is also an correct statement. Only the wrong statement here is that it can map the spread of the tumor of the body. We have discussed that the tumor is one of the symptoms for the cancer. So with this, we have completed the second main news for today. Now let us discuss the third main news. Third main news is very much relevant for your both prelims as well as the mains examination. And the context of this news is that the new series of gross domestic product has been released. It is related to paper 3 where syllabus talks about economic development. Now let us discuss this news and start discussion with the development. So Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation has released the new series of annual and quarterly national account estimate, which include the new GDP. What is GDP? It is the gross domestic products or products which are produced in a particular territory in a particular timeline. So here in India, we basically calculate it in years, and it include all the products and services which are produced in India by Indians as well as by foreigners. So the place of production is important in GDP, and it is for a particular time frame. That is the simple meaning of GDP. Now let us move further and understand what is all there in this news. So what are the key changes in the new GDP series? First of all, there has been changed in the base year. Now the base year is 2022-23 and it was earlier 2011 and 12. So basically it is a common best practice that the base year should change in every 5 years. So government has changed the base year in 2015. They tried changing the base year in 2019-20, but there was COVID at that time, so government was not able to change the base year. Then there was some issues with the calculation. Then has been made changes in the base year. We will be understanding again in the last about the base year. But this is the 8th time when government is changing the base year for calculation of GDP after the independence. It's a very important statement for your prelims examination that this is 8th time when government is changing the base year for calculation of GDP. Recently, the government has also changed the base year for CPI, and they have constituted one committee, Ramesh Chandra Committee, for changing the base year for WPI. Please be very clear about the years which have been changed related to GDP, CPI or WPI. Now let us move to the next important change which has been made in the new GDP series. So it will include the new data sources and it will integrate the high frequency and administrative data, including the GST collection, the eVahan portal as well. So GST was made applicable from 2017, and last time we have changed the GDP base year in 2015. So now they will fully integrate the GST collection data as well. Then there will be refined deflation technique. What is this meaning? What is the meaning of refined deflation technique? Now there will be the double deflation. Let us understand it with an example. Suppose A is input and B is output. So previously they used to measure the deflation point only with the output, that is B. But now the government is saying that we will also measure the deflation at the input as well. So it will give a better clarity. Then there is integration of supply and use table, and why this is for? So basically GDP can be calculated by three methods, and those three methods are product method, expenditure method, and income methods. These are the three methods which are used for calculation of GDP. One is product, another one is expenditure, and third one is income. So theoretically, all the value should come same for the product method as well, expenditure method as well, income method as well. But there are some discrepancies when we calculate the GDP by using the product method and by using the expenditure method, because the data related to expenditure is sometime updated very late. So what government is saying, that we will use supply and use table for removing this discrepancy. Okay, so this is the statement. Then there will be the improved estimation of the private final consumption expenditure. So they will be integrating the direct estimation from the production, administrative data, and the commodity flow approach. There are other changes as well that we will be covering in the next slide. The other changes are higher domestic worker capturing, digital platform and gig economic activity in the revised GDP series. And now they are saying that for the informal economy, we will use surveys rather than proxies. What they previously used to do is they used to have a proxy. Suppose in 2011 and 12, when was the base year, the formal economy was 100 and informal economy was 25, that is 1/4 of 100. So suppose the formal economy has increased to 200, then similarly what they will calculate is that the informal economy has also increased by 2 times, and that have led to 50. But now what they are saying, that we will use the survey for better calculation of informal economy. And what type of survey? Annual survey on unincorporated sector enterprises, and other surveys such as periodic labor force survey to better measure the household and the informal sectors. And now they are saying that the general government adjustment will also include it, such as the estimate account for the rollout the new pension scheme along with the old pension scheme. So these are the changes which have been made in the new GDP series. Now let us understand about the base year. Okay, so why GDP base year has been revised? Okay, so last time the base year was 2011 and 12. How many of you might have been using the Netflix at that time? How many of you might have been ordering from the online platform at the time? So most of you might not be using such products such as Netflix and other products. That means the choices and the consumption pattern has been changed drastically in last 12 years. That is the change in the base year. So for the better calculation of the consumption pattern, there has been changed in the base year. So that has been given that the new base year will capture the expansion of the digital services, what we are using now, the renewable energy and the evolving consumption pattern. And it is an international best practice as well, we have discussed when we were discussing the development. So the periodic revision is supported alignment with the international best practices recommended by the UN Statistical Commission. And what are the implications for revising the base year? There has been decrease in the GDP size, whereas the real growth rate has increased, but the nominal growth rate has decreased. Nominal size of the economy has decreased. What is this real economy size and nominal economy size? Suppose last year I was producing 10 bicycle of 100 rupees each. So my total production was 1000 rupees. But this year the price of the bicycle has increased by 10 rupees. So the total production will be 1100. So there has been increase of 10%. But I have increased the production? No, only the nominal or the due to the inflation, the production have increased, but on the real term, it has not increased. That is the meaning of nominal and the real growth. Nominal include the inflation. Okay, and it will impact that there will be higher fiscal deficit and the higher debt to GDP ratio, because they are measured by measuring the nominal size of the economy. These are the implication of the revision in the GDP base year. So with this, we have completed this news. Now let us discuss the PYQ which is related to this news. The first PYQ is from the year 2015. Okay, so the question is, a decrease in the tax to GDP ratio of a country indicate which of the following? First, it is slowing economic growth rate. That is a correct statement. Then less equitable distribution of national income. We cannot infer this from the given statement. Okay, recently the analysis based questions are coming in the prelims examination. So please be very clear with the concept of your economy. So the answer will be 1A1 only. Then there is one more PYQ from the year 2011. The question is, a rapid increase in the rate of inflation has sometimes attributed to the base effect. What is the base effect? A, it is the impact of the drastic deficiency in supply due to failure of crop. It is not correct. Then it is the impact of the surge in demand due to the rapid economic growth. This is also not correct. It is the impact of the price level of previous year on the calculation of the inflation rate. This is correct. Then when last time they have changed the base year, in 2015, there was a question regarding that in the mains in 2021. The question is, explain the difference between the computing methodology of Indian gross domestic product before the year 2015 and after the year 2015. So similar question can be asked in the mains examination later on. So with this, we have completed this news. Now let us move to the next main news for today. And next main news is regarding the food fortification. And the context here is that the government has temporarily, this is very important, temporarily discontinued rice fortification under the Pradhan, Mantri, Garib, Kalyan Yojana. So you should be very clear what is Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. In this news, we will be covering why government has temporarily discontinued, what is rice fortification or food fortification, and why it was required in India. That we will be covering in this news. But please read about the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana as well. And it is related to paper 1, where syllabus talks about issues related to poverty and hunger. Now let us deep dive into this news and discuss the development. So first of all, why rice fortification was discontinued? So rice fortification was discontinued after a study of IIT Kharagpur, which has showed that the prolonged rice storage for distribution under the scheme is rendering effective shelf life shorter and in turn limiting the intended nutrition outcome. Okay, so the report has found out that the rice storage for a longer time is reducing the shelf life of the rice, which is not bringing the intended benefit of the rice fortification. Now let us understand what is the meaning of the fortification and specifically what is food fortification. So basically it is practice of deliberately increasing the micronutrient content in vitamin, that is vitamin and mineral in food to improve the nutritional quality. Okay, we all are well read. So how many of you are considering that how many micronutrients or minerals are there in the food which you are eating? So most of the answer will be that we are not aware about the micronutritional content of our food. The Indian food is specifically very high on carbohydrate, but not high on the nutrition values such as minerals and vitamin. So to fulfill that gap, food fortification is done, and it is the practice of deliberately increasing the micronutrition content so that there is no deficiency of minerals and vitamins in humans. And it is regulated by FSSAI, Food Safety and Standard Fortification of Food Regulation 2018, and it was symbolized by this symbol. If you see this F plus symbol, that means the food you are buying is fortified with minerals and vitamins. Okay, then the fortified food, wheat flour and rice, they are fortified with iron, vitamin B12 and folic acid. Then milk and edible oil, they are fortified with vitamin A and vitamin D. And double fortified salt, they are fortified with iodine and iron. In your biology classes, you might have studied about the diseases which occur due to the deficiency of these micronutrients. Let us revise them. If there is deficiency of vitamin A, what it will lead to? It will lead to night blindness. If there is deficiency of vitamin D, it will lead to disease of rickets. If there is deficiency of iodine in human body, it will lead to the disease of goitre. And if there is deficiency of iron in the human body, it will lead to the disease of amnesia. These are the diseases which are related to vitamin A, vitamin D, iodine and iron. So there can be the match of the following or the match of the type, which pairs are correct. Such types of question can be there related to this information, because basic science has been asked in the previous year prelims as well. Now let us move further in this news and understand about the significance of food fortification. First of all, as we have discussed, it is to address the micronutrition deficiency in India, because in India we have a high burden of micronutrition deficiency caused by vitamin A, iodine, iron and folic acid. We have discussed why there has been micronutrition deficiency, because our food is very much rich in carbohydrate, and these deficiency lead to night blindness, goitre, anemia, and various birth defect. And this food fortification has economic benefits as well, because Copenhagen census has estimated that every 1 rupee spent on fortification result in the 9 rupee benefit to the economy by better health of the population. That is the economic significance of food fortification as well. Now let us discuss one PYQ related to this news. This PYQ is not directly related to this news, but such type of PYQ or question can come in the prelims examination related to health. So the question is from the year 2018, and the question is, with reference to the provision made under the National Food Security Act of 2013, consider the following statement. Statement 1, the families coming under the category of below poverty line only are eligible to receive the subsidized food grains. So this is not correct statement. Around 75% in the rural area and around 50% in the urban area are eligible to receive subsidized food grains. That means the first statement is not correct. Then second, the eldest woman in the household of age 18 years or above shall be the head of the household for the purpose of issuance of the ration card. So this is a very important development under this act. So you should know that. So if we know these two statements itself, then we can find the answer. One is not correct, second is correct, then answer will be B only. You don't have to read the third option, but let us know about the third option as well. So pregnant women and lactating mother are entitled to take home ration of 600 calories per day during pregnancy or 6 months thereafter. So it is not 600, it is up to 600. So then the answer will be B2 only. Okay. Now let us move to the next news. The next news is related to the Convention on the Biological Diversity. And what is the context? The context is that the India has submitted the 7th national report to the Convention on the Biological Diversity. In this news, we will be knowing about the Convention on Biological Diversity and what are the highlights according to the summit of the report of the India's 7th report. It is related to paper 3 where syllabus talks about environment. Let us discuss this news in detail. First of all, the context and the development. We have already discussed the context. This report is prepared by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Very important fact. So this report is prepared by Ministry of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate. And it is India's official submission under the CBD. And parties are required under Article 26 of the CBD. If you go to the last year paper, you will find that there was a question regarding Article 6 of the Paris Agreement. These type of articles are important for prelims examination. Last year, they asked about Article 6 of Paris Agreement. Last year or last year. So here, these reports are required under Article 26 of CBD to submit the national report to the Conference of the Parties, that is COP, on measures taken towards the implementation of CBD. So this is the development in this news. Let us understand what is this Convention on Biological Diversity. So it has secretariated in the Montreal, that is in Canada, and it is a legally binding treaty. It is a legally binding treaty. This is an important fact, and it was adopted at a UN Conference on Environment and Development Earth Summit at the Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in the year 1992. So this is very famous in the UPSC because there are questions in the prelims as well as in the mains directly or indirectly related to CBD. And it has entered into the force in 1993 and operate under United Nations Environmental Program. Then what is its objective? Its objective is to conservation of biological diversity, sustainable use of component, and fair and equitable sharing of the benefits. Suppose I am using biological products of some area where tribals are living. So if I gain something from that biological product, I should share the benefit to the tribes of that area as well. So there are various protocol under it, such as Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. Then there is Nagoya Protocol on the access and benefit sharing, and there are Aichi targets as well under the CBD. Now let us discuss about the highlights of the report which has been submitted by the government. First of all, it is the first full assessment of the progress towards the 23 targets under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. So this framework was established in this COP15 in the year 2022. It is very important. You should be aware about what is this Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. There is 23 targets under it, and this report, it is the first time that the full assessment of progress has been made towards the 23 target which are there under the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. And there is policy alignment as well, as the National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan is now aligned with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which has 23 national biodiversity target and 143 indicators. Now let us come to the implementation of targets. First of all, India has moved to the 9th position in terms of the total forest area. Then India ranked 5th among the top global carbon sink through natural process. Then share of non-fossil fuel based energy resources in India has accumulated to install energy production capacity of 51.93%. Please be very clear here. There is a difference between installed electric power and production of electric power. We are mostly dependent on coal based, even though the installation is more for the renewable energy or the non-fossil fuel based system. What is the reason? The reason is non-continued production of the electricity by the non-fossil fuel based production system. And you should be also very clear about some facts, such as India is the largest contributor to the anthropogenic sulfur dioxide in the globe. Okay, so this is the highlights of the report. Now let us discuss one PYQ related to this news. The PYQ is from 2023, and the question is, consider the following statement. In India, Biodiversity Management Committee are key to the realization of the objective of the Nagoya Protocol. We have read about Nagoya Protocol. For implementation of it, there was the formation of Biodiversity Management Committee. So this statement is correct. Then the Biodiversity Management Committee have important function of determining access benefit sharing, including the power to the levy collection fees on the access of biological resources within its jurisdiction. We have discussed about the access benefit sharing as well. This statement is also correct. Then this answer will be C, both 1 and 2. With this, we have completed the main news for today. Let us discuss the place in news for today. The place in news for today is the Straits in the Indian Ocean. And the context here is that the Iran has vowed to attack any ship to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Where is Strait of Hormuz? This is the Strait of Hormuz. What is the meaning of strait? It is a naturally formed narrow passage of water that link two water bodies such as seas or ocean. This definition is important here. That the what is the meaning of strait? So basically it is naturally formed narrow passage of water that links two larger water bodies such as seas or ocean. So what are the major strait in Indian Ocean? Please look into the map. One is Strait of Hormuz, which is there in the news, and it link or connect Persian Gulf. Here is the Persian Gulf, and it connect with the Gulf of Oman. Then there is Bab al-Mandeb Strait. It is here, and it connect Red Sea with the Arabian Sea. Then there is Malacca Strait. It is here. It connect the Andaman Sea. It is connect Andaman Sea to the South China Sea, which is part of Pacific Ocean. Then there is Palk Strait here, and there is Mozambique Channel here. So you might have noticed that the map-based questions are coming in the prelims examination. So please be very clear about these strait: Malacca Strait, Hormuz Strait, Bab el Mandeb Strait, Palk Strait, and Mozambique Strait or Mozambique Channel. So this was about the place in news for today. Now let us discuss the quick update for today. So the first quick update for today is Durand Line. And the context is that the Pakistan have launched a major military offensive under the name of Operation Ghajalil Haq against Afghanistan along the Durand Line. In this news, we will be understanding about the Durand Line. So basically, it is an international border between Pakistan and Afghanistan for about 2600 kilometers. Whereas Pakistan does not recognize the border as the legitimate border because of the Pashtuni tribes. So there is a tribe which is a Pashtuni tribe which is also living on the Pakistani side, whereas Afghanistan think that tribe is part of Afghanistan only. That's why it does not recognize Durand Line as legitimate. Then the line was proposed by the Britishers in the 1892 to definitely separate the British control India from Afghanistan. At that time, the Pakistan was part of India only. And it is named after Sir Mortimer Durand, a British civil servant who negotiated the agreement with the Afghanistan ruler, which was Abdur Rahman Khan. So this was the first quick update for today, and let us move to the second quick update. The second quick update is about Project Cheetah. The context here is that the 8 cheetah from Botswana will be introduced in Kuno National Park as part of the cheetah reintroduction program named Project Cheetah. This is the third country from which we are bringing the African cheetah to India. Previously, we have brought from Namibia and South Africa. Asian cheetah was there in India, but it was declared extinct in the year 1952. Let us understand about the Project Cheetah. So it was launched in the year 2022, and what was its aim? It aims to translocate African cheetahs to India. We were having Asian cheetahs which went extinct in the year 1952, but now government is translocating African cheetahs to India. And it is the world's first intercontinental large wild carnivores translocation initiative, and the implementing agency for it is the National Tiger Conservation Authority, and the technical assistance is provided by the Wildlife Institution of India. This was all about the Project Cheetah. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve. And what is the context? Context is very sad. The context is that the Madhya Pradesh government has reported the 8th tiger death in the Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve since November due to the electrocution from the illegal live wires. So context is not that important, but we have to study about the Bandhavgarh Tiger Reserve. So it is a tiger reserve which is there in Madhya Pradesh and specifically in Vindhyan Hills of Umaria districts. And it is named after the historical Bandhavgarh fort which is related to Ramayana. Bandhavgarh fort means brothers fort. It is the fort of Lord Lakshmana. It is believed through the Ramayana. Then what is its conservation status? It is declared a national park as well as later it was declared as the tiger reserve under the Project Tiger. And there is flora as important flora and fauna here. It is known for the high tiger density and it is also known for leopards. And then there are deer species, gore and the diverse wildlife here. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about the MAVEN mission. This mission is of NASA, and it is there in the news because the researchers have detected a listening like Whistler's radio signal, providing the first evidence of such electromagnetic activity in Martian ionosphere with the help of data obtained by NASA's Mars Atmosphere and Volatile Evolution, that is MAVEN in the short form. So when we discuss about atmosphere, the atmosphere is divided. There is troposphere, then stratosphere, then mesosphere, and there is exosphere where there is ionosphere as well. So this is the atmosphere of Earth we are talking about, but here we are talking about the ionosphere of Mars. Okay, please be very clear. This is related to the ionosphere of Mars, and this is the division of the stratas of atmosphere of Earth, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere and exosphere. Here let us understand about the MAVEN mission. It is the first mission which is devoted to understanding the Martian upper atmosphere. One more myth which is believed that Mars is the closest planet to the Earth. It is believed. But in reality, Venus is the closest planet to the Earth. Okay. So this mission determines how much time of the Martian atmosphere has been lost over time. So our Martian atmosphere has been lost. And how it will do? It will measure the current rate of escape to the escape, which gather enough information about the relevant process of how extrapolation can be done backward in the time. So what are things are important here? We have to understand that what is MAVEN mission. It is a NASA's mission and it is the first mission which is devoted to understanding of the Martian upper atmosphere. And what does it do? It determines how much of the Martian atmosphere has been lost over time. With this, we have completed this quick update. Now let us move to the next quick update. The next quick update is about Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And what is the context? The context is that it has completed 25 years of foundation. In this, we will be understanding about this bureau. It was established in the year 2001 as a statutory body under the Energy Conservation Act of 2001, and it is there under the Ministry of Power. And what are its objective? Its objective is to reduce the energy intensity, improve energy security and mitigate the climate change. There are various program under it, one of which is standards and labeling program, where you will see the star rating labeling on the electronic products in your house. Then there is energy efficiency lighting program, which is for promotion of LEDs. And there is perform, achieve and trade scheme, which was started in the 2012, which is a market-based mechanism to improve energy efficiency in energy-intensive industries. Okay, now let us move to the next quick update and the last quick update for today, that is Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. So the context here is that the Union Finance Minister has met the President of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank to discuss the strengthening of the India's and the AIIB strategy or the partnership. So this bank was established in the year 2016, and what its objective is it is a multilateral development bank that provide financing for the infrastructure project in Asia, but its member can be from anywhere. Its members can be all members of the World Bank or the Asian Development Bank, and its headquarters is at Beijing, China, and India is the founding members of this bank. So basically it was established in the 2016. It is a multilateral development bank which provide financing for the infrastructure project in the Asia. Its headquarters is in Beijing, China, and its membership is open to all members of World Bank or the Asian Development Bank. With this, we have completed the weekly roundup session of today. And to read further about current affairs of Vision IAS, you can visit Digital Current Affairs website of us. Thank you. All the best for your preparation.